kind of cartoony. They're like laser cut and printed. Did I do this wrong or like what?
It's starting now.
Oh, it's starting now? I started it earlier. Why did it take so long?
No. It wanted access to the thing.
It wanted access to the thing, so
now
I've just been speaking to the blackness this entire time. Yes, hello. Oh, yes. This is the keychain that I was talking about before I got easily distracted. Yeah, it's just a cool little UFO. It says star on it. They're pretty cheap. They're only $1, and it will make it so that you can pull your keys out of your pocket easier because you'll have something to anchor on and grab onto. So never be stuck outside your room with your keys in your pocket ever again. So if you want to keep in touch with us, we have our Slack going. That is a really robust and active community. We have literally over 100 people on there talking about all sorts of really sweet sci-fi stuff in every aspect. I actually get a lot of my sci-fi news from the respective channels in Slack because there are some very passionate people on there that post news as soon as it comes out. So it's a great way to stay on top of things without really delving super deep into trying to stay on top of that. Also, we have Roar Day coming up soon. So if you, tomorrow soon. So, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, give money to Star, what do I get out of it? You get to literally pie the bridge crew. As in, for every $50 that you all raise for Roar Day, you will be able to pie the bridge crew in, you guys raise collectively, all of you together can raise just $50. The captain will receive a pie to the face by one of you lucky members. If you guys raise $100, you will pie both the captain and I. $150 adds Tulio to the mix. $200 is our wonderful comms officer who shows up late all the time, John. So you must punish him for his tardiness. And then all the way, if you guys raise $250, the entire bridge crew from Ava to Claire will all be pied courtesy of any of you, and we will provide the pies for that. But if you guys want to bring your own, there are a couple of rules and restrictions because frozen pies with nuts are very painful. But reasonable pies, yeah, that not a personal experience, but a legend once told long ago. Yes, Ryan.
For personal experience.
No frozen pies, no piping hot pies either, but a nice fruit pie, room temperature, go for it. I would say go nuts, but don't go nuts. Nuts are not allowed.
Beware of allergies. We will update you on that when the time comes.
Yes. So to donate to Roar Day, there will be kiosks all over campus tomorrow. You can just walk up to any of them and say that you want to donate to Star. Tomorrow we will also be posting links on social media for you to just follow direct link to that.
Ideal texture you want the pie to be in?
Me, as someone who's probably going to get pied, minimal filling, not messy, very easy to clean out of a beard. That is the ideal pie. So I don't know, a sandwich.
So we can throw sandwiches at you?
We can talk about that, Ryan.
If you want a non-offensive pie, pumpkin pie.
Ooh.
Basically something that's got a spongy filling, so it's not too fluidy.
Oh, I will take a chocolate pie. That I will absolutely volunteer for that.
Are these milestones with RHE selection or just the members?
Just the members.
Okay.
So yes. We also have a really cool event coming up really soon. We're calling Star Wars Lightsaber Academy, where a professional fencing judge is going to be coming to campus and has volunteered some of his time to teach us all how to swing around lightsabers and not look like idiots. So that's going to be awesome. It's going to be on Thursday, October 26th. Registration for that is open now. It's going to be $15 or $10 if you bring your own lightsaber, which means if you don't bring your own lightsaber, we will provide one for you. And this guy is going to teach you actual saber techniques, but we will just be swinging around plastic lightsabers. It's going to be cool. We're going to learn actual lightsaber stuff.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes, Ava.
can you keep the lightsaber after?
Yes, you can. You get a free lightsaber with purchase.
That's not free, Kevin.
It is when I say with purchase. Another event that's coming up that's going to be super cool, this one does not have a pay-to-entry barrier, is we're hosting another social night similar to our Starbecue from before, but this one is going to be a pajama party. So come in your sweats, come in your flannels, come in your comfy clothes. Yeah, bring pillows, bring blankets, bring like beanbags, like bring whatever you want. We're just gonna have a bunch of like loosely sci-fi based stuff set up. We're gonna have like Mario Kart. We're gonna be screening Star Trek Continues. We're gonna be just like hosting like probably a couple like tabletop board games, and it's just like an opportunity for like a bunch of people to just come and hang out and just like, you know, spend time with the other members and just do cool sci-fi stuff in perhaps an environment that you wouldn't usually be able to. Like, for example, I'm probably going to be running a one-shot session of the Fantasy Flight Star Wars RPG system. So if people really like tabletops, I will be DMing a really cool Star Wars themed one. It's got its own dice system that I can teach you guys real quick. I'll have a couple of characters pre-made, or if anyone's experienced with the system and wants to talk to me, I'll let you make your own or whatnot. You can talk to me about that later if you want. Alex. You know what? Like I said, come talk to me after if you guys are interested in that. So that'll be pretty cool. I mean, like I said, that's free to entry. We're gonna have cookies there for you guys from Insomnia Cookies because that seems theme appropriate, and it's gonna be super cool. And there's a bunch of stuff going on. Also, one more question. Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering in regards to the Star Wars Lightsaber Academy.
Oh yes.
Do I go onto the summer website, or where should I be redirected to register?
To Tulio. If you would like to register afterwards, you can come see Tulio.
Okay.
And he will register for you with your help. Also, we are going to see Blade Runner this week. We usually go and see movies on Fridays, but we're going to see this one on a Saturday. So the carpool is meeting at 5:30 outside of the SAU lobby for the 7 p.m. showing of Blade Runner at Regal Henrietta 18. So same like theater that we always go to, same time, but on a different day. So that is Saturday as opposed to our usual Friday. If you're willing to drive people, we have an away mission drivers thing on Slack. You will earn my eternal gratitude.
See the original, the alternate scene version and Blackout. Yeah.
Okay.
No
problem. I mean, if you've seen one edition of it, do we know which one is officially canon to the new movie yet? Know that. So
it is strongly theorized that this is a sequel to the original theatrical release.
Okay.
However, the director has been intentionally vague, and so I mean, he, for all we know, it tries to be a sequel to as many cuts as it can.
I know Blackout's a good movie. That's a strong movie.
So I mean, it seems as though like any good movie will have a very low barrier to entry. So, I mean, it will, of course, be enhanced by watching one or all of the originals, but if you just go in with no previous Blade Runner experience, I assume because of its very high Rotten Tomatoes score already, that is not a major hindrance to your enjoyment of the movie. So that's our showing. We also have PR committee, which is meeting in the Fireside Lounge at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. That is the great committee for people who are starting out, who maybe want to get a little bit more involved with the club but aren't sure how. PR committee is really chill. It's really relaxed. Last week, PR committee, I ranted about new Gatorade for approximately 15 minutes. So anyone who's unsure about that, if you want more details, come to PR committee, and I will happily give the new Gatorade rant once again. Yes, Alex?
Well, what about Bolito?
Bolito will also be mentioned if you bring it up at PR committee. I have very strong opinions about Mighty Taco and New Gatorade. But yes, so you also do actual work at PR committee where you can help us design posters and reach out to new members and people who are maybe a little bit more unfamiliar with the club. But we also just hang out and have a good time. Highly recommend it. Is another committee that does things that are important. They make the website do of the do. We've got a pretty good website that we've got going on, but that needs upkeep and maintaining and the addition of new features to that. So if anyone is at all into web development or wants to be into web development or wants a really cool resume piece, then Webmaster Committee is the place to be. Their next meeting is Sunday, October 15th at 5 p.m. in the SAU. So whether or not you can make the meeting, there is a website channel in the Slack that will keep you up to date on the news and assignments, and you can ask questions and really just get familiar with all that stuff. One last committee, I promise. Starfest committee is meetings start this Sunday from 12 to 2. And it's going to be for the planning of our big Starfest convention that we hold in the spring. This was going to be in March 3rd to be exact, and which is my birthday. So I'm personally thinking of it as a big birthday party to me. So I would appreciate it if you all came to my birthday party planning and made it a very happy birthday for me. This is for all those Rick and Morty fans out there. If you haven't heard, Szechuan sauce is returning to McDonald's this Saturday. One day only. You can get that. You can get that sweet Szechuan sauce, Morty. Grab it. Finish that series arc early. Just get it out of the way. You got one day. You got to go down there. You got to get it. Yes.
Party like it's 1998.
Exactly. Party like there's a new Mulan movie coming out, which I think there actually is. But yes. So this information was actually like. The first place I heard about it, this is like not just a pitch, this is real. I heard about this on the Slack for like the Star Slack before I heard about it on any other social media. So I'm serious, like this is like cutting edge technology, boys and girls. So yeah, without further ado, I will hand it over and we will get started on speculative alien biology.
Okay.
Give me like 5 minutes while I try to get out of this presentation.
Just go fast, everybody. The next.
Yay! Yay! Okay, so this is going to be a presentation on speculative biology. My name is Chris. Speculative biology is sometimes also referred to as speculative evolution. Both of them refer to the same thing. It's the idea where you're thinking about how evolve under circumstances other than the ones we find ourselves in. So like, say, continents of it was just a water planet, how would things change? Or if the dinosaurs never went extinct, how would things be different? The same thought process can be used to think about alien life. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Yes?
Does this have anything to do with that movie about the parallel dimension where the dinosaurs
No.
into...
Before,
Yep.
oh jeez. There we go. Okay, before we really get started, I want to shout out to this person on Tumblr, Xanxest, and Taylor Brown, both of which helped me go back and forth with ideas. It was really fun, and I learned a lot from it. Second thing to go over, there will be some spoilers for pretty much everything. Good thing I don't watch any of these. There are some that are covered up, you'll notice, and those are the logos where the fact that there are aliens is a twist. If you see any of those aliens on the screen, do not say what the movie is or what the media is. Just appreciate that they're there, think about it in your mind, don't tell anybody else. Yes?
So what sort of spoilers are there for Space Invaders? Does it have anything to do with how many points the bonus ship is worth?
Don't tell anyone. No, I use spoilers very literally. There are going to be very many spoilers for Space Invaders.
Why are the black boxes one?
What?
The black boxes one must be because of the black image or what? The very reason to be able to lose those franchises is itself a spoiler.
Right. So again, if you see those aliens on the screen, just don't tell anybody, just out of respect. So,
It's a completely family drama, and the plot was, oh, it was aliens.
Hypothetically.
maybe, I don't know. You can use your own judgment on that. I have no responsibility for you. So without further ado, let's talk about what we know. Over the last few years, the Kepler Space Telescope has been studying different exoplanets in our galaxy. It's looked at about 0.28% of the sky in a little funnel, and it's found about 30 Earth-sized habitable zone planets. Now, we know that Kepler can only see planets that pass directly between their star and Earth, that are within a certain range, and again, are within that small funnel. So with statistics, we can extrapolate that there are about several billion Earths within our galaxy, which is kind of mind-blowing. Yeah.
I'd just like to add that Kepler isn't the only way we have of discovering exoplanets. There are other more difficult methods that aren't as effective, but that can see things Kepler can't. Like
that's absolutely
star bubbles.
Yes. We can study redshifts in different stars and all sorts of other things. So, Yes. On Earth, we know that life is at least 3.7 billion years old. We keep finding older fossils all the time. It seems like the only prerequisite to life is liquid water that we know of. This was not a hospitable time for Earth. It was under constant bombardment, volcanic activity, tectonic movement, all that stuff. But life still, and we know that there's liquid water is plentiful throughout our galaxy, and even within our own solar system, there are planets that are pretty much made of water. Well, not planets, moons. Yes.
So are you referring to Europa?
Yes. There's Europa, and that is the other one.
Yep.
What?
Io is the volcano.
No, not Io. What?
Enceladus, I think it's called.
Yes, Enceladus. Thank you. Sorry, I would have known that any other time except for when you just asked me. All right. So, biologists currently have found about 2 million species on Earth. We expect that there are at least 1 billion more that we haven't described yet. So there could be more or less. There's a lot. But so far, we haven't found direct evidence of life anywhere else. Yes?
Regarding the 2 million species, how many of those do you estimate are microscopic?
Most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have the exact number for you, but I'm sure a Google search will find the answer. So, since we don't really have any direct visual evidence of life on other planets, we have to resort to other methods. We have to use our imagination to figure out based on our understanding of biology, what might we expect to see in other places. So, all different cultures have different perceptions of what aliens are. And some cultures just entirely don't have any concept of aliens. I'm going to be referring today to the ones that are probably the most familiar to us. And I split them up into different categories. The categories do overlap, but these are just general sorts of things. So the first one, humanoid aliens. They're sentient, bipedal. They have a head where they store all their sensory organs, most of them. Some sort of torso, and 2 pairs of limbs on either side. A lot of times you see that they are basically humans, but with behavioral, physiological, or cosmetic differences. They probably have better tech than you do, and they probably inexplicably speak your language, or at the very least, you have some way of communicating with them, whether it be through symbols or gestures or
technology that can somehow in your ear.
Yes, or magical universal translators.
Yes.
Here's some examples. You can probably think of some others. And you see, there's like different spectrum away from human, right? You might not necessarily consider ET to be a humanoid, but in a lot of respects, it is very similar to the rest of the things on this list compared to, say, a mollusk or something. Yeah. So let's start to analyze this as deeply and complexly as we possibly can. Starting with, why on earth are animals' heads on one end of their bodies? So let's take a look at 2 very different types of animals. Starfish and a fish.
Sea star, actually.
That's not a star, that is a star.
Aren't sea stars like more spindly?
Yes, they are. So a starfish has very primitive eyes on each of the different arms of its body. Its sensory organs are spread out in such a way that its mouth is most efficiently put right in the center. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. Right there. The fish, on the other hand, has its eyes right on one side of its body, right where its mouth is, and that's efficiently put there. The difference is, on the starfish, there's no preferred direction, and there's no reason that one side of it should evolve more sophisticated sensory organs than any other side. On the fish, it has all its sensory organs on one side, therefore it has a preferred direction and a means through which it can evolve more sophisticated organs without using a ton of more energy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Question? Yes. Yes.
I'm just curious, what do you think the field of view of the fish is?
I think it depends on the fish.
That is probably, for that fish, I suppose.
Probably similar to that of like a deer or something. Like it's, probably a herbivore. I don't know. Is there any specific reason you asked that question?
I was thinking that you mentioned that it's more efficient to have all the sensory organs at the start of the body. The starfish has radiosymmetry so that it can sense, interesting things all around it. But for the fish, that sort of symmetry isn't needed. The same reason it doesn't have a lateral symmetry, because it doesn't need eyes on its tail, because the field of view wouldn't be very, very much extended.
That's true, and there's another half of this that I forgot to mention. The other half of the fish is mostly used for locomotion, right? So you end up with this dichotomy where it just pushes it in one direction.
You don't want your eyes flipping around all the time.
Exactly. Okay, next thing. Why bipedal? Why are so many things, aliens in fiction, bipedal, as opposed to all of the other things that we see around us every day? This has been bugging biologists for a long time, and there's not like a definite consensus, but it is a fairly efficient way to get around. And if you are only walking on 2 of your 4 limbs, then you end up with better specialized other appendages, which we can use for object manipulation, etc. Positive feedback cycle, where the more you can use object manipulation, the more you can think about it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
The more you can take advantage of having the capability to move your hands in that way.
Yes. Yes. This specifically arose from a conversation I had with LeBron. Why do humanoid aliens have the same organs, but like in different places? And the main reason I think that is that it's hard to make a person. Like, basically all bipedal life forms need organs that do basically the same thing in basically the same place, based on our understanding of biology. This is just pointing to where the heart is in different alien species. So in a human, here, Vulcan is like here, I think. Timeline, there's 2 of them. If you look at other bipedal life forms that are on Earth, obviously these are not necessarily as sentient as we are. That's a different discussion. The heart is in basically the same place because we use it to move oxygen around, and it's right between the brain, which needs the oxygen, your legs and arms, which need the oxygen, and your mouth, which brings oxygen to your heart. Why do most animals have sex? Can't do that sentence today. The answer is a little bit convoluted, and I'll try to explain it as best as I can. On the top, we have 2 organisms that don't have sex, and the bottom, we have 2 that do. If we somehow introduce a selection pressure that gets rid of the blue traits, you end up with more diversity on the bottom than you do on the top, so that when it reproduces, if you suddenly a selection pressure on the red organisms, then the top ones are just gone, and the bottom ones still are there. This is a pretty technical presentation, and I apologize for that. It will get much less technical very soon. That's that. Why do most of Earth's organisms have 2 sexes? That one is actually very interesting, and it has a pretty simple answer. It's because mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So bear with me just a second. Great thing where a bacteria decided it lived inside of ourselves now, and they produce a bunch of ATP as a waste product, which our cells use to create extra energy. That allows us to build much more complex structures and do things like wave our hands around and stuff. The problem arises when you have a mitochondria from both of your parents, which are slightly different. If that happens, they will go to war with each other. And by having only two sexes, you can always have one of the two passing on the mitochondria to the other, to the offspring. So in humans, it's maternal. You get your mitochondria from your mother. And then you don't have this happening. Why breasts in aliens in fiction? There is sort of a reason for this. In mammals, we use it to, sorry, that's kind of graphic. We use it to pass on nutrients to our offspring in order for them to develop much quicker, and that gives them an advantage. In fiction, in humanoid aliens, I think we can all probably guess what the answer is. So, yeah. So why are there so many humanoid aliens in fiction? And that is probably because we can relate to them. Authors know this. If we see something that's like us interacting in different environments, we're going to like the show more than if it's just like some sort of squid moving around on the ocean bottom. We don't really relate to that as much, unless we're nature geeks with this. Yeah. Next category. Artificial aliens. You see, they have a sentience, and then they have metal that surrounds the sentience. Good. These are all just tropes. They're not going to be true of everything. But most of the time, they can understand what you're saying. They're either your best friend or your worst enemy. Argues that they're dispensable. They're indestructible when it's convenient. They're better than you. If they're once a human, it might be a bit spooky. They have fewer emotions than you, but they secretly care. Here's some of them. I like how this worked out because the last row is just lonely robots.
I don't think the Daleks are welcome.
I don't think
They want to be low.
I don't think they want company.
Yeah, fair enough.
Touche.
Let's put that back there.
So I don't have a huge discussion about artificial aliens this time. I know we're all thankful for that. Why do you think artificial aliens might be a thing in fiction? I think it's because, oh, sorry, you have an idea.
Because even if they're not extraterrestrial, they are still aliens. Because the concept of something that for which is not organic is something that many people see distance between themselves and the form. And so even if it's not extraterrestrial, it is still alien.
Fair point, yes?
They're simple, and they're not very disturbing.
Okay.
Maybe I'm going to reduce perspective.
Fair enough. I'm way oversimplifying all of this, so it's totally fine. Yes.
I think it's just kind of because the author, like that organization, is asking what really defines life, biology, or otherwise.
That's a really good point too. I tried to pick out the ones that were definitely extraterrestrial in origin because I didn't put like Wall-E on here. I think that's canonically human. I would argue also that artificial aliens act as sort of like a mirror to us, but like a distorted one. We use it to create contrast and sort sort of serve as a foil to the other characters that are in the story. Yep. Next category. Aliens that are very good at hunting you. Wait, what? Don't question my categories. Okay. Aliens that are very good at hunting you, or are faster than you. They're either much smarter than you or much less smart than you. Smelling, seeing, and or some sort of alien magic that can find you. They're pointy. They can only exist shrouded in dark mist, and they are the tag and or hide and go seek champions of the world. Here are some of them. Obviously, some of these belong in this category more than others. But you see, they all kind of share a similarity. Yeah, teeth and stuff. Yeah.
Big fish, huge teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Are the head crabs and Space Invader in the same box where you said it help them fit and maintain your structure, or are you suggesting the head crab and Space Invaders are related?
It was the former, but I like the idea of the latter. Okay. So, again, not too much discussion here, but I would argue that they exist because we all sort of share the same in us. That is to say, throughout our entire evolutionary history, there was always something bigger than us with more teeth than us. And that sort of has stayed with us. Now that we use them in our fiction as for probably the same reason that we like roller coasters, I would think, that's subject to interpretation. I'm not sure. Does anybody have any comments? Yeah.
Humans have always, it's interesting because there's I think it's a Vsauce 2 video on dragons, and
oh yeah, I watched that.
Yes, and it discusses how the concept of the dragon is something that is planetary to humans, that it's just something that has been conceived and shared along across all cultures on the earth. And I see as though these primal organisms as almost like a new type of dragon, a new type of monster to slay, or at least overcome.
Yeah, I think that it definitely has that basis. Yes.
On the other hand, you can also use the don't treat a book by its cover, where they may be eating nasty, but they have feelings too, dang it.
I mean, not the human.
None of these things do, but there are sometimes they do.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Next category, cartoon aliens. They have eyes and arms, tentacles, usually flying saucers. Inexplicable, like suction cup antennae sometimes. I don't understand what that is. They're usually green too. We seem to have this like cultural understanding of what a cartoon alien is. Some that I find. That's not from anything. That's just like I searched cartoon alien on Google. But yeah, if you were asked to describe an alien, at least as a kid, you'd probably describe it as one of these things. Yeah, you have a question.
What about Teletubbies?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. We don't know what they are.
Out of respect for you guys, I didn't include them in this presentation.
Using telekinetic technology.
Okay.
They considered two things. Killing their costumes and television and stuff.
I can't come up with a good explanation for why this is what we think of as aliens. So here's SpongeBob.
That is.
Yeah.
Little green men.
Well, I haven't done too much research into this, but there seems to be some type of common ancestor to a lot of what we think of looks like aliens that goes back.
Like a cultural.
Yeah, culturally speaking, not actually speaking.
Right.
And the idea of little green men. I'm trying to remember what that was though.
If you think of it, let me know. Yes, Fred.
That should be replaced with why not?
It's a fair point, yeah. Yep. Here's another category. Unknowable space beings.
Is that like in the fourth dimension?
It could be. It depends on the franchise, yeah.
The Ubu fall into that?
The what?
The Ubu?
I don't know what that is.
The hyper-intelligent shade of blue.
Absolutely.
What?
All that unknowable space beings are is, oh, hey, that's weird. Okay. Star Trek loves these. And there's also some other franchises. Is that Cthulhu?
Yes, that's Cthulhu.
Yeah. They're very different in a lot of ways, but they have similarities. They're beyond the realm of human comprehension, at least at first. So why might that be? Well, it might go in the opposite direction as a lot of the previous slides. When we look at other organisms around us, they don't know what a laptop is. You could never explain to a dog the concept of France, I don't think. I've not tried. Maybe you could. That's a bad example. The big idea is, if there are organisms on Earth that can't understand the things we do, maybe there are things in space that we can't understand. And I think that's what it draws from. And that's a really neat idea, and a lot of different franchises have explored that in different ways. Oh, okay, so now I want to go into a few more specific circumstances of just aliens that I personally like. We have more as the list goes on. First of all, Halo's elites. They're really interesting, but you can see where they drew inspiration from. The head. This is a python, and it's sort of like they just glued two of those together to make the skull of the elite. And the feet are kind of like theropod and cervid, like combined, which is kind of neat. It's a very efficient alien, and it's different from a lot of the other ones that we're familiar with. So that's why I like it personally. Yeah.
What I've always wondered is that does it really have mouth?
Yeah, that's true.
I think I see that it has teeth, but it's trying to chew through the food will fall out of its mouth.
Maybe it like takes the bottom ones and like makes a bowl.
Maybe it's like a leech. I don't know.
Oh yes, I lived there. Maybe it descended from organisms that are similar to lampreys.
Could be.
Maybe they didn't think it through enough.
Possibly that's it.
Yeah.
Like snakes, it makes more sense because they have membrane between the two bottom jaws. With these guys, maybe they function similarly to saber teeth, where they don't really chew with those, but they still use them to attack prey. I don't know. Yeah, you have a question.
The way the legs are shaped as well. I remember reading for a bipedal creature that's one of the more efficient leg bones, essentially, the way the leg is structured.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yep, so that's one. Here's another one, alien xenomorphs. At face value, it seems like a really creative idea, right?
It's
biology has thought of that.
Yes.
This is a dragonfly nymph. They have extendable mouths, and they use them basically the same way the xenomorphs do, which is to scare women. They all have wings, yeah. Yep. The weird chest explodey bit that the xenomorph has is very similar to ichneumon wasps. So ichneumon wasps, spoilers, biology spoilers, I guess. They will lay their eggs inside of their hosts. The larvae will develop inside of the host as it develops, saving its most important organs for last, eventually creating a cocoon using the mummified remains of the host, going out of its chest cavity like an alien. So, yes, you have a question.
Xenomorphs were actually like different areas. Is that the xenomorphs were based off those wasps?
Yes.
I have no idea. Oh, you're saying they do?
They originally had 2 sexes, and then during the movie, they got changed to 1 sex, and then had a queen, and then they used humans to like be like incubate eggs.
Yeah.
Originally, it originally was kids that used a human as an incubation chamber. And then they had a queen who was only male drones. And then there's this weird goo that they're a bioweapon for like some weird like territorial race. So it's like all the fiction does not make sense.
There is a
Is it
video.
whether they're artificial yet or not? They don't know.
There's a video by because I think it's not, is it Meredith?
It is Meredith.
Oh yeah, the series Because Science, exclamation mark I think, and he has a video and then he has a second video where he's like, okay, let's take everything and combine it all. So yeah, I mean it's all, but it does come from the origin that it is down a virus that infects any sort of organism from the inside, and it produces a sort of viral counterpart to the organism. That's why, in that case, that of the xenomorph virus phenomenon looks humanoid, because its skeletal system because it replicates the skeletal system of a human. And I think we see in Alien Theory, as much as I really am gonna ignore that.
Well, I'm gonna stop you there. I have a secret. I have never watched the movies.
Okay, so it replicates the DNA of the host and embodies it as a means, in my theory, is to counter it by having a biology, sort of stance that is bipedal. It can somewhat counter other humans, maybe.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yes. I really only showed this so I could talk about it once.
It's a virus deep down.
Okay. Mass Effect's Reapers. They're a very interesting idea. Here they are. They're big, scary technology-sucking monsters. I really only show this so I can show you what a water scorpion looks like. These guys live around here. They do not sting. Those things at the top are used as like snorkels, so they can stay underwater while they hunt prey. So my theory is we can defeat the Reapers by putting a cork in the top. I've also not played Mass Effect.
I don't know. More like squid or balls.
Yeah. Okay. Sarlaccs. Sarlaccs are a whole bunch of different things combined. First of all, bobbit worms. Bobbit worms are freaking terrifying. They are in the ocean, and they catch fish that are much bigger than themselves, and they have like a trapdoor jaw. So that's one thing. Another, antlions. That is actually live around here. Antlions look like that as their larvae, and they sit at the bottom of pits and wait for ants to come over top, and then they eat them. And also, the spines at the side are reminiscent of pitcher plants. So you have all these different things pushed together, and I think that creates, like, the more things you draw from, I think it makes a much more terrifying, yeah, sure, and also like believable creation. Yeah. Anyway.
Those worms.
I think they can grow to like 20 feet. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Like the big ones. But they're only like that diameter.
Holy.
The ocean's a big place. It really is, and I think if we just look more at that, we can come up with more monsters.
Yes, we need more of them. Well, I'm not saying that it's exactly the same. I think that they are using inspiration from Earth's biology to interpret different. Okay. Here's another one. Star Wars Acme. I really only show this so I can show you this. Moving on. Star Wars Broticas are like my favorite alien creation out of all of them, because it's like someone looked at a pangolin and said, "Let's make that into a turret." And that's the end of my presentation. So does anybody have any discussion, right, points right away? We can go on. Yes.
So I always liked pictures that try to create a more alien mind. Even like basically like going into a sort of hive mind. Then here know about aliens that have hive minds.
The xenomorphs.
Not really.
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Who here can explain what a hive mind is?
So in fiction, a lot of times, a hive mind means they are all connected telepathically, they can communicate with each other, and they don't really have their own, they just sort of share one. I don't remember any specifics at the moment, but I'm sure some of you can. Ava can.
The board.
The board. I did put that in my presentation. I've already forgotten. Cameron.
The Beast for B movie?
Yes, Cameron. I love that part of the bee movie where all the bees say in unison, "Become one." Become one. Okay.
Yeah.
The cat. Yeah, that's a really good example from Mass Effect, a game I haven't played. Yes. Yes.
First, remember the game?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
What are most from the other Star games?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Genotions. They are both literally and metaphorically a hive mind.
Not fully. They have some extent free will. They have both the hive mind to the drone and then another caste that has free will.
Yeah.
Which makes it really weird and complicated because it's not only a hive mind but not a hive mind.
Yeah.
There's the Zerg from Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Star Trek 2?
Star
How about, do you guys know of any other examples of artificial life or humanoid aliens or the aliens that are very good at hunting you that I missed? Logan.
How can you not mention the Predator? That's literally their names.
The Yamcha.
Right?
No, you're
The Yamcha too. The Predator. The Predator.
What does that stand for?
Oh, it stands for aliens that are very good. Yeah.
They're different from basically everything else that's listed in this category, but the silence.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's one heck of a tactic.
Okay, Logan, could you take like a minute and explain to me what the Predator is?
You know what I mean? That's Arnold Schwarzenegger and all his early men.
The Terminator?
No, no.
Oh, jeez.
Same thing.
Is it like the thing that's in Star Wars that's in like the room that gets smaller?
Here, it's this one. Sort of. One of these. I don't know. Looks like that.
That's interesting. It's like a head trap, but like with the body.
Okay,
now imagine the half Predator.
Top right one, one to the left of that. Is that from Doctor Who?
What?
Look at the bottom right looks one. Now look what is to the left of that.
That one's a spoiler.
Oh,
what?
Right.
Is that from Doctor Who?
No.
I can't tell you.
Might be something that there's something that crosses multiple categories that I might think you might find interesting. Is anyone in here familiar with the Huolu from Stargate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They are worm-like parasites that insert themselves into a host, acting on their behalf as part of an organization that brings up lesser nations so that they may be revered as gods.
Yeah, one of my friends on top of it was talking about that, but I forgot about it. Yes.
No, I was mostly just thinking of the before the little picture that was like spooky, spiky. Should I make an actual alien just based on that little blue dwarf?
I think that is definitely a thing that we should do.
But also, actual serious thought was also from Stargate, more on the unknowable side. You have things like the Ori and the Ancients, which are like ascended beings, and fighting them is like fighting is like fighting the Goa'uld. They like to put themselves off as gods, but they really just have pretty good technology, and that pretty deep once we start to understand how they work. But are more akin to gods. They're ascended beings. They don't work on our plane anymore.
So like they commute.
Yeah, they don't have physical forms, they're energy beings, and like the ERI belief in them makes them more powerful, and they can do things like create flames and stuff.
Okay.
Planes?
I'm gonna. I see all of your hands. I'm gonna just say something real quick. Do any of you have any categories that you think are relevant that I missed? Yes.
Animal-based aliens?
Fair enough. Yes, there are. Anyone who has ever like looked at deviant art for more than like a minute, which I did it for 2 over the weekend to study for this. There are a ton of artists doing speculative biology stuff on there, and there are a lot of alien creations that are just animals that don't want to hunt us, that are also really cool. Yeah.
Have the inverse of the idea that some animals may have actually come from space because they just survived in zero gravity?
See, space cows.
What?
Space cows. They're like whales split in space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Brown.
This may be a subset of hive mind. I'm not exactly sure because it might also be a subset of animals. Living plants.
Mogo.
Most plants are
Mogo, sure.
No, they're essentially a collection of
animate plants?
No, planets.
Oh, planets.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a completely
Mogo is
different thing.
different.
I thought you said plants. Yes, I agree. That's an interesting category, and I totally accept it. Yeah.
It's sort of in the, well, I don't know if it's really a specific fictional. I mean, I've been coming to this meeting. This is one of my favorite aspects of science fiction. I'm glad I forgot to come last week, but you know that I'm not going to miss this week. But one aspect that has inspired me a lot, I grew up on Animal Planet before it became reality television, and I saw the evolution of Earth. Then I saw stuff by Stephen Hawking. He did a 3-part miniseries called, I think, Into the Universe with Stephen Hawking, and he does one of the 3 parts on extraterrestrials, and he mentions how we could see them as non-humanoid. They could even be, what do we even define as organic? What do we even define as that?
Well, I mean, we do have scientific definitions.
Right, there's metabolic processes. What if we could find life in a star that can survive in a star? But they would be, it was very intriguing. It showed like,
that sounds like a bright idea. Yeah.
Another category that you could put down is probably like inorganic alien stuff, but that aren't artificial, like maybe like crystalline beings or something like that, like the folians.
I know one of the fan theories about Steven Universe is that they are that. I mentioned Steven Universe. Okay.
Rock-based aliens?
Yeah. And there's a lot of those in Star Trek too. Yeah.
I'm also interested by essentially future humans or human subspecies that have our regulated form in the future. I'm trying to think of a good example, but I believe in Eve, there are sort of separate species that you can be a part of that were basically descended from humans. It's just humans separated by large distances started to evolve a little differently, and over the course of many years, it basically can become so different that it can always be considered different species.
Yeah, that whole thing is called transhumanism. Ava.
That is the time machine.
Yep, that's what
The H.G. Wells' The Time Machine.
Okay.
The human species evolves into 2 separate groups that are very different, and it's cool beans. It's like 100 pages. Can we read?
Yes.
One thing I want to mention, I don't think most people think about, is that a lot of things we see in science fiction are basically humans, but not. Like, there is no Earth in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Every single human we see, no matter what they say, is an alien that we know nothing about.
I mean, it's in the same universe, it's just a different galaxy all along.
There are theories as to why. The one is just, well, they just evolved. The other one is somehow, due to time travel and transdimensional travel, due to our own self-destruction by technology, humans just somehow teleported to another, maybe another universe or just another galaxy far away.
That just sounds even worse. Yeah.
Okay, here's an idea for you. Composite aliens. Aliens in any of your other categories that are a product of symbiosis of two or more species.
Yeah, sure. That's
so
there are definitely lots of those. Yes, in the back.
So basically humans go on to it.
Aliens are less mythical creatures.
Okay. Yeah. That. Do you have any specific examples?
I can't think of any, but like, I feel like that should be a thing. If it's not, you know.
It should. Yeah.
Cool. That's kind of similar.
Yeah.
I mean, back on the Star Wars thing, there's humans that are all over the galaxy, but also, like, most of the aliens also look human too. Like, they're like humans with hair or humans with tentacles on their head.
99% human.
They have Star Trek syndrome where they all just went into the costume department and came back out in a different species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Trek actually is like that.
Right. It's a poor If it
One of my favorite throwaway lines from Doctor Who, that I don't think it's ever brought up anywhere else. So, you know, haven't watched the entirety of the first previous. The 19th, whatever part, is the bit where he's just like, oh, humanity, God alone, spent like 1 million years evolving into clouds of gas once, but we always revert back to this shape. And just something about that line is really making me think. Here's as clouds of gas, and now we're people shaped get out of balance.
I mean, physically speaking, it's true. Like, we are all stardust. Sort of.
That's you meant it literally.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but it's interesting to think about. Yes.
Remember the other thing that the doctor says about humans going out into space? They basically Captain Kirk everything.
That is
It's a sensor.
that is a wonderful euphemism.
I mean, not really.
Yes.
This kind of knows fossil categories are organisms that aren't carbon-based.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a valid category.
Although silicon, I believe I read a paper on this, silicon requires more energy to perform the same reactions. So it would be less, and it's also less plentiful because it's heavier atomic weight. So it's improbable to the extent that we believe that, you know, if we were to look for life, we will look for signs of carbon-based life.
Yeah. Yes.
I think one other category could be like an energy being that sort of requires like some other non-organic component to survive.
Like AI or more?
I remember.
Not necessarily AI, but just like.
I remember something from, like he's talking about from a video game. I think it was FGL. It was basically like a pure energy being holding a metal suit around it.
Okay.
Like just.
I do have a problem with that as a mechanical engineer, but
unlimited power.
Like I am a pure energy being, right? E equals MC squared. Like I don't have a suit of armor with electricity jumping around.
Yes, the difference is that they can you could tear the armor off of them, and they could still punch you in the face with pure energy.
So I guess Full Metal Alchemist style?
Well,
not even.
Again,
I don't know.
Mass is the property of moving slower than the speed of light. So they have they already have mass.
I'm not moving there. Yeah, basically they're wearing metal like we wear clothes.
Mass is
freaking energy.
Okay. Again, it doesn't make sense, but I'll take your word for it. Sure. Yes.
In regards to how humans, the concept of humans evolving into various subsets, for DC's Kryptonians, there are subsets known as, I think there's, I am aware of daxamites.
Yes, that's,
In Marvel, they have a concept in which where it's the Celestials, am I not correct? Whereby they take humans in their early forms that were bridging between ape and Homo sapien, so that they could experiment on them, and they would create beings known that are often identified today as Eternals and Deviants. And the Eternals gave way for the Mad Titan planets. Right? Very good.
Okay, I'm going to end my presentation here. You are all free to discuss amongst yourselves. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming. Reminder that it's our day tomorrow in order to tie the bridge through. Blade Runner will be this Saturday at 5:30 outside the SAU. We have lots of really cool committees that you can ask more about in general. Yeah, come hang out with us more. We really like you guys, and see you once a week makes me sad.
Because it is only once a week.
Yes.